Hey team, I want to take a quick dive into the settings of the new 2023 drawing head unit. This is the 13.3 inch. This is currently inside of my Jeep Wrangler. This is how it looks inside of my Jeep Wrangler. Again, this is the 13.3 inch model, and that's how thin it is. So, huge fan of the newer model. Unfortunately, in typical drawing fashion, it's one step forward, one step back. You guys are going to kind of see a theme with these videos that I make with the drawing head unit. But I finally have had it for a second. I'm going to take you guys through a quick dive. This is self-explanatory. Airplane mode, network. Network is allowing you to get on the 4G LTE connections, your data connections, if you decide to put a SIM card in there. SIM card settings, hotspot and tethering. You know, if you wanted to turn on a hotspot on here using the SIM card and then have your passengers or even yourself connect to the Wi-Fi, you can do that with this. The more settings just kind of launch into the network and internet portion, and now you kind of see that this is based off of a Samsung. The way that they have these settings is exactly how Samsung has their settings as well. Bluetooth, self-explanatory. Unfortunately, with the Bluetooth, it will not connect to my OBD2. So, yet again, drawing, one step back with, they had the opportunity to unlock the Bluetooth in the 2023 model, despite the fact that they would not do that in any of the previous models, and they still chose not to do it. I cannot connect to my OBD2, no matter what I try. And that's, I believe, because they sell their own OBD2 adapter, and they want you to buy their OBD2 adapter. So this is unfortunate. The second thing is, I can't just connect my phone for media. I have to also connect the telephone portion of the Bluetooth. So for those of you that have a Samsung or possibly other devices that do this too, you have a choice between connecting your phone to a device and have that play media, or your phone, like telephone calls, or both. And I would just like the device to play media. I don't want to get phone calls on here. I'm probably in the minority with that. But that being said, unfortunately, yet again, just like the 2021 drawing head unit that I reviewed a year ago, it's the same problem here. You have to have your phone connect not only with the telephone, but also with the media portion as well. And I just want the media. So that being said, the Bluetooth is a little bit quicker. Oh, that leads me to the screen. The screen is brighter, and it's also darker at night. I can make this go much darker than my 2021 drawing head unit. And I can also increase the brightness much brighter than I could on my 2021 drawing head unit. That's a really, really nice thing about this new 2023 drawing head unit. You are able to go above or below their default settings on here. And so for someone like me that has a convertible, and those of you that have convertibles, you guys know what I'm talking about when you've got the top off and you're like, dang, I could really use a head unit that's brighter. Well, this is it. The other thing about this screen, besides the fact that it's very thin, the borders are unfortunately big. Yeah, down here you've got some soft buttons that at night will light up. Let me see if I can get those to turn on. There we go. So now that I've got my headlights turned on, you can see the bottom buttons down here. I don't use them, so to me, it's fine. Those of you that want them, they're there. Me, I would prefer to have a smaller bezel, but those are first world problems. And again, that's because I'm able to control everything through here, and then also with gestures on here. There are gestures that you can do on the screen. And for example, I just got back home by swiping up with 2 fingers. So that's an idea for those of you that are interested in what's going on with the latest screen, and if it's thinner, is it worse? No, it's much brighter. The response is much quicker, and it detects my touches much more fluid than the 2021 drawing head unit that I reviewed previously. Going into the common section, which I don't really know why this is considered common, but again, this is a Chinese head unit, so they're doing their best for translations. Navigation in DVR, touching it does nothing. Navigation on boot. If you select navigation on boot and you go into the navigation app, you don't have to just set this to maps, which is what I've got it set to currently. You can have it set to open up any one of these apps here automatically whenever you turn on your vehicle. So that's nice that they define that for you. Back into common, and navigation on boot, for me, I leave it off. And again, the navigation app, you guys can set what app you want to automatically turn on. Navi data copy, couldn't tell you what this does. I have no idea. Location information, that just opens up the settings menu, like the true Android operating system settings menu, where you're able to turn on your location for GPS and you can go in. This should look familiar for those of you that have an Android phone. Those of you that don't have an Android phone, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what iPhones look like. And you chose the wrong side. Yeah, sorry. Location information. We've already been in there. Okay, so cool. So satellite signal status. This just tells you GPS, GLONASS, and Beidou, which I guess that's what China's using. I guess China uses Beidou. Not really sure. It'd be kind of cool if we had all three here in the United States. But I'm connected to 11 locations here in the United States. GLONASS has got 6, and then UFO. I have no idea. I have no idea what UFO is. Does this do anything? No, it doesn't. Coming back out, satellite signal status, DVR application, yes. So an incredible feature about the Joying head unit is their DVR ability. I chose AR camera, and there is another option which I won't get into, but when you dive in here, if you try to attain root access and you start diving into the files and stuff like that, you're actually going to find that there's an APK for their dash camera. Now, this is not the Joying dash camera. These are DD-Pi dash cameras that I use, but I digress. If you had a Joying dash camera, there is an APK that comes with the Joying head unit, and you can find it inside the files, and you can install that APK, the Joying APK, that lets you have the DVR app. And then you can set the DVR app to that if you wanted to. I don't see why you would, because the AR camera that you can get with the Joying head unit is really, really incredible. Now it's 1080p HD, and it almost looks like it. To me, it's more like 720p HDR. I'll give you guys a glimpse of that. This is the rear camera, and this is a 13.3 inch screen. So mind you, the PPI, or whatever it's called, DPI, PPI, pixels per inch. Yeah, PPI. The PPI is, worse than my previous head unit or I should say better. It's better than the previous head unit that I had, but for a camera, the camera has to fill in all that information, because this is a 13.3 inch screen, and previously I had 11.6 inch screen with their older style HD camera that, in my opinion, was more of like a 720p. Now, they're going through AV connections, and for those of you that know AV cables, you can't get a true high definition view out of an AV cable. So they're doing something. They're doing some upscaling here, and they were doing it previously on the 2021 Joying head units. Let's go back and drive. So they're doing some upscaling, but it's really, really good on the new 2023 cameras. They say it's 1080p HD. To me, it's really more like 720p HDR. And the reason I say it is because if you guys could see this at night, maybe I'll make a review at night of the cameras. It's really, really good, especially with the headlights. When the headlights are coming at you, whenever you've got the reverse feature turned on, or if you're like me and you like to see what's going on behind you while you're driving forward, because right now I'm in drive. And you can drive forward and still see what's going on behind you with the AR camera app. So those of you like me that like to have this on, the headlights at night used to be refracting, but now they don't do that. And their new cameras, I do highly recommend their cameras. And I think they're $28, if I'm not mistaken. But let's get back into the settings. So yes, their DVR application, I've got mine set to AR camera. It's really, really good. What that does is you are able to record while driving. Or if you have your joying set up in a fashion where you have the screen go into a sleep status, which is called parking monitor time and battery low voltage protection. When you have this turned on, parking monitoring will increase the power consumption of the car and continue to open the monitoring. That sentence doesn't make sense for us in English. But what they're saying is you are able to set how much of the sleep mode or how long you would like the sleep mode to stay active. You did not ever have that capability on any of the previous drawing head units. So this is a welcome feature to be able to set how long I want this head unit to be asleep for. I've got mine set to 24 hours, but more importantly, and another thing that I find incredible about the head unit is the battery low voltage protection. This sentence not that good, but I've got mine set to 11.5 volts. Now I have an AGM battery, and my AGM battery, I've tested it, has gotten down to around 9.8 volts, and it still will crank the motor. So you may not have an AGM battery, but because I do, I'm comfortable setting this to 11.5 volts, which is the lowest setting that joying allows for the battery low voltage protection. You can also, I believe, turn this off. I think the battery low voltage protection may default to 11.8, but when you dive into the files, there's actually a place where you can set that to off. Anyway, the AR camera. The AR camera will record even if you turn your vehicle off, if you have the parking monitor setting turned on. So let me repeat that. If you have the parking monitor setting turned on, then you can still record from your front camera and your rear camera if you have both front and rear. You can record, kind of like the Tesla. If you guys have seen those videos of the Tesla where the Tesla's parked and someone dings their vehicle, it's just like a Tesla. And here in the replay area, you can see all the files, and it will overwrite old files. So today is August 22nd, I believe, and this thing is going all the way back to August 1st. And this is recording in what they say is 1080p, but again, for me, it's more like a 720p HDR. But still, nonetheless, it's very, very crisp. I haven't seen any other head unit that is this crispy. And so here you go. You can see what was going on back in August 1st, 2023. Unfortunately, you can't change the date. This date doesn't really make sense for us in the United States. It does in other countries. So that being said, let's go back out. The other thing is you have to be in rear in order to replay the rear. If you go to front and go to replay, now you can see what's going on in the front. Now, mind you, I need to relocate my front camera because this is not a very good view. So you can play around with this and get a better view. Going back into settings, we were talking about the DVR application and I went off on a tangent with the AR camera. Voice settings, my music setting is set to Spotify, but for someone like me, it doesn't really matter because I do not use their default home launcher. This is not their default home launcher. I'm using Nova 7. But if you were using their default launcher, and there's plenty of photos out there of their default launcher. If you're using their default launcher, then at that point, you can change your music setting to show any of the music apps that you want. Actually, it doesn't even have to be a music app. You could show any of these other apps here that you have. So that's what the music setting is for. USB setting, I haven't really played with it, so I'm not really sure. USB music autoplay, I think what that means is if you turn this on, and if you have a USB stick connected to one of the USB cables that's in the joying, then it will automatically start playing whenever you turn on the vehicle. I don't have a need for that. And also, what I should go back to talking about the screen is you probably just saw my flash there. You can probably see it here. The glossiness of this screen is not as bad as the 2021 Joying head unit that I had previously reviewed. This is not matte. I wish it was a matte screen. That'd be nice. But it's not as glossy. So that's a step in the right direction. So again, USB music autoplay, we talked about that. Hardware detection, handbrake detection. I think that's for playing videos. So you're not able to play video from a file in the unit if your handbrake is on, which my handbrake is currently on. But I think that that's what that means. I haven't played with it. I don't see a reason why anybody would want a handbrake detection unless they're purchasing this head unit for their child who's young and they don't want them to be distracted. Headlight detection. So I've got the dongle that Joying sells that interfaces with your computer on your vehicle. There's a certain word for that. I'll put that somewhere in the corner because I can't think of the word at the top of my head. So headlight detection, it will detect your headlights turning on, as it just did, and now mine goes into this dark theme. And then coming back out, it goes back into the light theme. So, hello. We've got headlight detection turned on for me. Any key to power on, I have no idea what that's for. I haven't played with it. Delay shutdown time, I've got mine set to 0 seconds, and the reason why is because I have an aftermarket amp for my subwoofer. And I don't want to get that amp pop like I used to in my old Kenwood head unit, because the Kenwood head unit would power down like 5 seconds after the Jeep or after my vehicle would power down. So mine's set to 0 seconds, and I no longer get that amplifier pop like I used to. Parking monitor, we talked about that. Keys and learning. Joying has a video about the keys and learning. The floating button, for me, the floating button is an absolute atrocity. Those of you that want to control your air conditioner, okay, cool, maybe. For you guys, that's great. The key floating button is this thing here. I don't like that. It's a bit distracting because no matter what app you go into, the key floating button's there. And then the key floating button brings up this stuff here. To me, it's pointless. So since I don't really use it and I don't know much about it, I'm not going to get into the key float button a lot because I disagree with a reason to use it. Panorama floating button, they are coming out with a 360 degree app, or a 360 app. They're coming out with a 360 degree camera, so you can see true 360 degrees around your vehicle. And that is what this is going to allow here. Whenever you click on it, you'll be able to see 360 degrees around your vehicle. I'm turning that off. The car speed floating button, that just shows you how many kilometers per hour you're going. Unfortunately, I don't see a way of how to change that for those of us in the United States or for other countries that use miles per hour rather than kilometers per hour. So I don't really see a need for that either, considering that I know exactly how fast I'm going because my instrument cluster tells me how fast I'm going. Sound, the beep, that's also an atrocity, but for those of you that want a beep to happen every time you touch something, you can get that, and you can also change the volume of the beep. I don't know if you guys can hear that. You can change the type of sound that comes out of it. But for me, mine is just set to 0 because there's absolutely no point in having that turned on. For someone like me, someone like you, yeah, maybe. Host volume, no idea what that is. The default volume, this is your boot up volume, so whenever you turn your vehicle on, it will automatically default to this volume that you set. And the same thing for the Bluetooth volume. I've got mine set to 3 because if I am ever jamming out in my vehicle and I forgot that I had it at a very high volume, I don't want it to bust out my eardrums, or if someone else is going to borrow my vehicle, I don't want it to bust out their eardrums whenever they start playing music. So I've got mine to default to 3, but you can change that to whatever default volume that you would like that to be set to. The Bluetooth volume and Bluetooth ringtone volume, section, that's pretty self-explanatory. Your microphone gain, I haven't played with it because my microphone settings have been just fine. There is a microphone located down here, and then I've got this aftermarket, I think they call it a lavalier. Mine's a Sony lavalier, so it's got 2 inputs, and Drawing does provide a microphone, but everyone that I talked to whenever I called them could hear me better on my Sony lavalier that I installed. And unfortunately, I also had to run an extension, and the way that I ran this was up through my roll bar padding, down through here, down the A-pillar, and then across my instrument cluster to the head unit itself. So my mic settings, the host mic and all that stuff, I haven't played with it at all. But if you have a original vehicle microphone, like some of you guys might have that in the headliner, you guys could change it to that if you wanted to. Bluetooth call microphone gain, again, I haven't played with it. The normal recording microphone gain, couldn't tell you what that does. Navigation reversing section, the Navi mix portion. Cool. Yeah, don't know what that is, haven't touched it. Reverse mute. So that's just whenever you go into reverse, if you're listening to music, it will mute the music so you can't hear anything. I didn't do that. I just have mine set to 20. So if I have my volume above 20, then my volume will go down to 20 instead of being at a higher volume. Car speed linkage volume adjustment. What they're saying here is if you are driving at 0 miles per hour and your volume is, let's say, set to 5, and then you get to 10 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour, then the volume is going to gradually increase. I have mine set to low, and unfortunately, it works, but you can really tell when it adjusts. It's not gradual. It's more like a 10% increase as opposed to a 2% incremental increase. So it's a step in the right direction. My 2021 Joying head unit did not have volume speed adjustment, so this is a welcomed thing to see. I do know that there are other Joying head units that have had it in the past. It's just that my 2021 11.6 inch head unit that you guys have seen me review, that one did not have it. We're done here in sound. Let's go into display. And here in display, we've got the reverse camera, radar, park radar, guideline, track. So I do know that the track is what you see here. These yellow lines, that's what the track is. The guideline, I think, just shows red. Yeah, it does. It shows red, blue, green, yellow. So it just kind of shows you that you're getting closer to your objects. I don't have that turned on. Kind of pointless to me. Park radar, I think that's for those of you that have front and rear radar sensors. So when you turn this on and you've got I would imagine that you probably have like a section somewhere here or here that will show up your radar sensors. Now, of course, my Jeep Wrangler doesn't have those radar sensors. Maybe this is it. Do I click radar and then go in reverse? Does it show up? Yeah, okay, so there we go. Now it shows up. So anyway, this is what you guys would see if you guys had front and rear sensors and you had it communicating with your Joying head unit through that dongle that I was talking about earlier that they sell. Since I don't have that, there's no point in me having that on. You can change the track style. Style 2, for example, looks like this. And to me, that just looks like an atrocity. I don't want to see anything blue there. So for me, I just have it set to track style 1. Reversing camera system is set to AHD 1080p 25. That is because that's the recommended option to click on if you have the new Joying AR cameras that they're selling. I think it's like $28 currently. And I'm recording this video in August 2023, so depending upon when you see this video, price could increase or decrease. So anyway, that's what they told me to set to, the AHD 1080p 25. Mirror, that just flips the camera, so whatever you see on the left side would now show up on the right side, and whatever's on the right shows up on the left. So you would want that flip option depending upon how you've got the mirror. You want the mirror option depending upon how you've installed your rear view camera. My backup camera power supply is set to often power on. And that's how I want it to set up, because I'm using what they're calling the AR camera, which is really just which is really just kind of a dash camera. It's those front camera. It's the front camera and the rear camera that are able to record while you're driving and while you're parked, if you have that parking monitor feature turned on. If you have your rear view camera tapped into your reverse lights, then you would obviously have it powered on and reversing. So, back car type. Oh yes, I remember this. Okay, so the back car type, that's back to their 360-degree camera system that they have not yet launched. They did show a sneak peek of it recently on their YouTube channel. So that backup car type, I have mine currently set to original, but if I ever did get the 360-degree camera system that they're going to sell soon, then I'm able to have my head unit be compatible for that future system. So that's nice. Reversing square control panel button. I don't know what that does. Yeah, I'm not sure what this does. Reversing square control panel button. Oh, you know what I think this is? I think if I tap on it, nope, maybe not. That's not it. Okay, yep, so not sure what that is. I think I press and hold. Is that right? Press and hold? Yeah. So I think that feature allows you to adjust your brightness, contrast, and your color. Cool. Make sure I'm right here. Reversing square control panel button. If I turn this off and I go back into reverse and I press and hold, no, it still shows up. So I have no idea what that reversing square control panel button does. Couldn't tell you. Mine, I guess, was on by default. Reverse delay milliseconds. I think that would come in handy for those of you when you're moving out of park and into drive. You want that reverse delay set maybe a little bit higher than 0 in case your reverse camera pops up really quick. Now when I do it, let me go to widescreen here. When I do it, I go straight to drive and it doesn't pop up. So mine's set to 0, but if you were to go slow, like I'll go slowly back into park, you kind of see how it pops up a second, then it comes back here. You can change that delay here in the millisecond section. Protocol panoramic switch, I think that might have something to do with the 360-degree camera. The video adjustment switch, I think that is probably, let's turn that off. I think that was what I was showing earlier when you press and hold. Yeah, press and hold and nothing shows up. So you're not able to control your brightness and your contrast and all that stuff. So if I turn this back on, video adjust switch, go back into reverse, and I press and hold, yeah, so I get my options back. So that's what that is. Auxiliary, now I've played with this. Here is the right view and aux, the right camera switch. I think that this is for cars that have a camera from the factory on their passenger side mirror, so that when you turn on your right blinker, I think it would show up the right camera on the join head unit. Now I've got mine set to turned on, and as you can see, nothing happens. But for those of you with a Honda Civic, I think that is what that is probably for. The right view floating button, yeah, you know, for me, what this does is just provides a button here that I can move around the screen, and then if I touch it, it just shows my reverse camera. Oh no, it doesn't. It does not show my reverse camera. It shows nothing. Cool. So that's the right view floating button. I think for those of you that have the Honda Civics or cars like it, you could see your right camera. Right camera mirror, that again, that just kind of flips whatever's on the left is going to be on the right. Auxiliary right camera. Yeah, I think this is where you could choose CVBSN. One of these is for Honda Civic, I think. And AR camera standard, yeah, you're going to want that set to AHD 1080p 25 because that's the Joing default. That's what they recommend, and that's their AR camera system that they sell. AR mirror, again, that just flips. Whatever's on the left is going to be on the right, and whatever's on the right is going to be on the left. System applications, this is your screen brightness. I talked about this earlier. The day brightness and the night brightness, you can control how bright you want the screen to be beyond the limit of what they allow you. Because originally it's set to, I think, 80 and 20 on the night brightness. Theme set, I've got my theme set to small light control. You could set it to time control, so depending upon when the sun goes down and stuff like that. Mine's set to small light control, which is controlled by my headlights. So I turn my headlights on, and then my theme changes to this dark theme. Turn my headlights back off, and we go back to the regular daytime screen. Display, system applications, theme set, and the subject time setting, again, that's where you can control the theme by the time. So sunset, sunrise, that's where you can control that. Language and input, self-explanatory for those of you that have smartphones. The date and time, I've got mine set to auto sync. And for those of you that have the SIM card, your SIM card would read the date and time from the network. I have my phone's hotspot turned on, so my Joing is set to automatically go on the Wi-Fi of my phone's Wi-Fi hotspot, and my phone is set to automatically turn on my phone's Wi-Fi hotspot whenever it detects that it's connected to the Bluetooth of the Joing. For those of you that follow me for a while, you know that I'm all about automation. If I can make my life simpler where I don't have to do things myself and have things automatically done, stuff like this is a very nice thing to have these automations set up. Date and time, self-explanatory. The time zone that you're in, self-explanatory. Here's your Google accounts. I'm not going to get in there because that's going to show what my email address is. App management and permissions. Those of you that have Android phones know what that's about. System recovery. Now, I have not played with this, but my assumption is whenever you do a Joing update, I think it will keep the settings. Those of you that have ever had a previous Joing system, you will know that your settings get completely wiped away whenever you do an update from Joing, like a firmware update. And I think that this new 2023 system omits all those problems that would come. So that's good to know. Colorful light. This just lets you control the lights that you want to have down here. Oh, I don't even have to go into that. I do not have to turn my headlights on for you guys to see these. Let's go back into display. So yeah, colorful light, the button light control, you can set that to always on, and now you can see my lights light up down here. I have mine set to auto, so my lights turn off. My lights will only come on automatically whenever my headlights get turned on. So let's go to always on, and then does it support colorful lights? Mine's set to on, mine's set to yes. Colorful light mode auto just makes these lights change to different colors automatically. Blue, purple, etc. And if you have it set to automatic, then you can also change the speed in which they change colors. So that's nice. Not for me. Again, like I said earlier, this isn't something that I would really ever use. So yeah, but those of you that want to be able to control your volume because maybe you don't have steering wheel control buttons, you guys can do that here, which is great. So we're done with settings, and lastly, into the system. This just shows all the system information, blah, blah, blah. Those of you that have an Android, you guys know what this is about. Factory, you have to put in a password. Previously, it was 3368. Whoops, 3368. That doesn't work anymore. The password is 8888 now. Here you get into what type of model vehicle that you have. You can change your boot logo. Well, I can't. But those of you that maybe have a different vehicle, you guys might be able to change your logo. Unfortunately, I can't change that logo, but you can do that logo settings here. The trajectory box is no track box. I don't remember what the hell this is. Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Back into 8888. That's a fortune that you keep having to put this code in. CAN bus programming, good lord. This was a bit of a nightmare to try to figure this out, because originally my steering wheel control volumes did not work because I had gotten the universal joying head unit, not the joying head unit that was specifically for the Jeep Wrangler, which they do have. But at the time they didn't. I just got the universal 2023 joying head unit. So the CAN bus system was a bit tricky. And I believe here in the car settings of car info, 8888, God, that sucks. You have to keep putting this in. On the original car set, you can tell it some different parameters. I've played with this and I haven't noticed much of an adjustment. Radar alarm volume is kind of cool for those of you that have front and rear radar sensors, those parking sensors. You can change the volume of it. The door alarm volume, if you ever drive when your door's open, you can change that volume on there too. Right camera switch, yada yada. There's not really a lot to really talk about in here because I played with every single one of these and a lot of things did not change for me. They may change for you, but for me they didn't. The driver position, those of you that are in Europe or different parts of the world that drive on the other side of us, the United States, you can change that here. Door switch, oh yeah, I've been meaning to turn that off. The door switch will turn on whenever you open a door, and see if we turn that door switch on. I'll shut my door and then turn my door back on, or open my door I should say, and then you can see the door switch pops up. For me, there's no point in me knowing when the door opens and closes because I can clearly see which door is open and closed in my Jeep Wrangler. Even if someone doesn't fully shut the door, I'm still able to tell because it's a Jeep Wrangler. So those of you that have Jeeps, you guys know what I'm talking about. Up and down reverse, blah, blah, blah. Cool, all that stuff. There's not a lot here in car settings to discuss. Golly, putting this code in every time. I hope that changes in some kind of firmware update. Yeah, CAN bus programming, we talked about briefly that was kind of some trouble for me, but I finally figured it out. Sound balance, self-explanatory. Output amplitude, that's going to be the gain that's going to be coming out of your amp wire, your amp power control wire that's in the head unit. Host output ratio, I have no idea what that is. Fiber output, I don't know because I don't have any optical cable for any amplifier in here. So I'm not sure what that does either. Noise reduction, couldn't tell you what that does. Unknown sources, yeah. Unknown sources is something that I want to have turned on because this allows me to side load APKs. For those of you that don't know what an APK is, it's an Android packet kit, which is basically the apps. But I like to sideload apps that are not available on the Android App Store. So for me, being able to install that is really nice. MCU power option, broken ACC power off. I have no idea. I'm assuming that if I turn my golly, I think that this is saying if I turn my vehicle into ACC mode, accessory mode, that it'll turn the device off. I don't really comprehend that because even when I do put my Jeep in ACC mode, in accessory mode, the head unit turns on. So I have no idea what that MCU power option is. MCU program, couldn't tell you. I have no idea what that is either. LT6911C upgrade, again, not sure. I had nothing that I could play with there. Z-Link, HiCar, Google Store. I want to have Google Store turned on. And then screen rotation, the screen does not rotate, so no sense in doing that on there. Projection screen, I'm not sure what that is. I think it might be for the HDMI input that's located inside the head unit. I think that's what that might be, so where you can project your screen on the back of a headrest for the passengers that are in the rear HiCar, I think that's a Chinese thing, and the Z-Link, I believe Z-Link is the app that they use for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Screen adjustment, I talked about this earlier. Here I can adjust my screen brightness ratio, and that's really nice. I will say, if you play with this here on the brightness minimum, if you go too far, it can get scary dark. So you want to be careful not to go too far on here, because then you can't see the screen. Just like I did, you can't see the screen if you go beyond the 27. So be very careful with how dim you put the screen. Now let me make this go back up. There we go. A little higher. I'm not going to save that, but as you know, my minimum was set to 28, my maximum was set to 95. They say you don't want to adjust it too high, so be mindful of that. LCD AVDD, didn't touch it, because again, back to this LCD screen, I don't want to mess anything up. The VCOM, didn't touch it, couldn't tell you what that is. Not sure about FM stop sensitivity. There's no point in listening to FM radio because I've got Spotify and I've got YouTube music on here, so I'm using smart apps to listen to anything that I've got. And then I've got Bluetooth on my phone. So again, FM sensitivity, I don't mess with it, but I also don't listen to AM or FM either. Radio sort type, not sure what that is. Radio zone, I'm in America. Those of you that are in different parts of the world, you can change the frequencies of the bands that you get. Radio antenna switch, I don't know what that is. It was set on by default, so I left it. The RDS, I'd have to Google what that is. Auto turns on power, not sure, couldn't tell you. Antenna socket power, I've got mine set to off, but that's also because I shaved off the antenna that stuck out like a sore thumb on my Jeep, because again, I don't listen to the FM or AM radio. So I have my antenna socket powered off. In fact, I never even installed the antenna socket when I installed the head unit. Factory produced, export settings, hardware platforms, display resolution settings. None of those things I touched, because none of those things I felt confident in changing. I'm putting this back to auto so that these buttons will go away, because that's how I have it whenever I don't have my headlights turned on. Guys, this is a 42-minute long video. If you've made it this far, God bless you. You must really be interested in this head unit. And again, last but not least, this is Nova 7 that I'm using. I do not use their default home launcher. This is something that I prefer here, where I can change my things. Something that I didn't touch on was the gestures. There's a setting in here for gestures. Did I miss it? Display, system apps, app management, restore. Well, there's a setting in here where you can change the gestures. Is it in common? Here's what I mean by gestures. Let's say I'm in my YouTube music app and I want to go back home. All I have to do is swipe up with 2 fingers and it takes me right back home to my home launcher. But I don't remember talking about the gestures on here. I thought that it was somewhere. Oh, here it is, gesture learning. Wow, did I miss this? I did miss this. Gesture learning. Okay, this this video is getting longer. Swipe up with 2 fingers, swipe down with 2 fingers, it mutes it. You can change these parameters. Gesture volume step value. So if I swipe left with 2 fingers, it's going to lower the volume 3 steps. But you can change this to different things. See? These are all the different options that you get. Very, very customizable. Something that you guys saw in my 2021 Joing head unit review that I did, where I set my gestures using Nova Launcher. Well, I guess Joing must have taken a page out of my own book, because this is obsolete. These gestures aren't really needed now that Joing has incorporated gestures here. Hello. Now that they've incorporated gestures here in the head unit itself. So that's great. key, oh boy, key learning. Where did I go? Where was that? Common? Keys to learn? Yeah, I didn't touch on this either. This allows you to change what your steering wheel functions do, and then you can save the settings here, so that's really nice. You guys can play with that. I'm not playing with mine. Panel knob settings. I have no idea what that is because there's no knobs on the panel. So maybe this is just some software that they're going to use for a drawing panel that is going to have a knob. My drawing unit doesn't have a knob, and that's on purpose. I think this is a cleaner look. I'm not a big fan of knobs and buttons, but you might be. And so if you are, this drawing head unit's not for you. I like having everything clean and minimalistic, and I can control all that stuff through the steering wheel. Key study, yeah, we talked about that. That's back to the keys on here on the steering wheel. What's the difference between key study and panel key learning? I think panel key learning are these buttons down here that light up, and the key study is for the steering wheels. That's an assumption. But they've got 3 different here, so depending upon what kind of vehicle you have, you're going to want to change, or you're going to want to play around with that. Let's go back into settings. Did I miss anything else in common? No, I just completely missed the keys and learning. Okay guys, so that wraps up the video. 46 minutes long. Good grief.